welcome back to the program. So let's get a legal perspective now to the tenure dispute arising from the dissolution of local government chairmen offices in Rivers State. Joining us now to provide insight is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Paul Ananaba. Good morning and welcome, Senior Advocate. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good morning.
So let's start with the governor's actions, and we've had quite a number of talking points in the last 2 days or so. The order of the dissolution of the offices of the local government chairmen, and the order that he gave for administrative heads to take over their offices, and then again the appointment of caretaker offices into those local government. Where is the provision for the governor's actions under the law?
All right, thank you. You will see, and Nigerians will also observe, that a once peaceful state called Rivers State has now become a subject of discussion across the country, across the world. And it is clearly dispute between a governor and the immediate past governor. Incidentally, two of them are somewhat governors, because the Constitution also says that the FCT is to be seen as a state. Now, that has thrown that state into a state where, as at now, from what I know, about 3 persons have lost their lives, and we don't know what will happen next. Having said so, the law passed by the state legislator in Rivers State had provided for 3 years, and those 3 years expired. That law also says that a caretaker committee should be set up. I am not going to analyze those laws. I'm going to say what I think is right and what I think the Constitution will uphold. I think that the issue of caretaker committees in this country is unconstitutional. That's my position, not about Rivers State, because Section 7 of the Constitution is very clear. It provides for a local government system that is democratically elected. So a caretaker committee is out of the way. Now, I was happy when I heard that the governor had asked the administrative heads of those local governments to take charge of the local governments. And that's what I thought was right. So that today the Court of Appeal will make pronouncements. It's only a matter of hours. Now, you now have caretaker committees in this day and time. And in many states, another state copied it immediately, set up caretaker committee and all that. So we should be moving forward in this country, irrespective of individuals and groups and what they want. We need a local government system that is democratically elected. And we don't want to have laws that validate caretaker committees. In my opinion, since the Court of Appeal will be sitting on many of these issues, they would have made law pronouncements or interventions that will make the issues clearer and better than now having caretaker committees. Caretaker committees are not lawful, in my view, and they should be discouraged.
All right, Prof, there is some level of education I would like you to bring to the table. As you said, Section 7 of the Constitution doesn't provide for caretaker committee. No vacuum should be in government. There should be an election, just like we have at the state and the federal level. But it also provides the fact that the state should make sure this happens. Guarantee is the word I was using in that section. And Section 64 of the Rivers State law, local government administration law, the 2018 one, number 5, gave the House of Assembly the opportunity to make laws for the state, which perhaps is the reason why the law was made that Section 9, subsection 1, 2, and 3 provides for tenure, provides for the governor's ability to set up caretaker committee, provide for him to conduct election after the expiration of the caretaker committee, which was now amended by the Amewule group to say, no, if you can't conduct election or there's a case of war, continue. And there must be election 60 days or 90 days before that particular tenure expires. No, going back to the one of 2018, the law, Constitution says that if any law made by a state is inconsistent with a law made by the National Assembly or the Constitution, to that extent, it shall be null and void. What went wrong that could not be spotted, or is there an excuse for them to provide for caretaker committee based on the fact that the Constitution says the state must put this together for elections to hold? If you understand what I mean, sir.
No, I do. I didn't want to start analyzing River State law here because some of those issues are sub judice, and it wouldn't be right for me to be writing judgment on the television. That's why I was saying that in the circumstance in River State, these issues are before the Court of Appeal and some high courts. Clearly speaking, from my own view, the Constitution does not provide for caretaker committees. Those issues have been laid to rest over time. So, why didn't River State conduct State Electoral Commission swing into action 6 months or by before the time, knowing when the tenure of the local governments will expire? Why didn't they conduct elections into local government councils? So the issues are deeper than what we can just sit by and be analyzing. Why didn't they? If the State Electoral Commission had moved on to hold elections, we won't be talking about this. But if you know how the politicians and the governors and all that, how they operate, one, El-Rufai tried election in his time and lost some local governments. By caretaker committee, the headship of the local governments will be by pronouncement of the governor, which is what has happened now, not just in Rivers, but everywhere. So every governor wants to have all the local government chairmen to be people practically put in place by them. And you know that the perspective has been in the public space that the funds of local governments don't actually get to them. That is another issue the federal government has taken to the Supreme Court. So the governor would like to have caretaker committees. There's been no explanation why the State Electoral Commission did not hold an election. Now, having not held an election, it is obvious that the Amewule team may have looked at the situation and would have made laws that more or less will favor their position, because they pledge their allegiance to the former governor. so that you begin to bring provisos. Okay, if election is not hold caretaker committee or extension for 6 months, these are not covered by the Constitution. And I expect that the issues will be resolved. And much more, this caretaker committee that we are talking about now in Rivers, which assembly screened them, assembly of 3 or 4 persons. In this time and age, after Enokojo and Adeleke by the Supreme Court, after the clear pronouncement of the Supreme Court on these things. And you also are aware that the Court of Appeal has said, okay, you guys should hold fire till 20th, which is today. Why wouldn't the initial directive by the governor, which I think was direct and sound, that the highest civil servants or administrators in each of the local government should take charge for at least 1-2 days. This issue would have been brought before the Court of Appeal today, and they would have made some pronouncements. So that's my position. Maybe wrong, but that's how I see it.
Prof, I may want you to expatiate on what you just said, because you said it in passing. If you look at the amendment done by Martins Amewule and the members of that house that's still under contention, it's a beautiful piece of legislation because it covers for any eventuality and even insists in section 9.3, number 4 of the 2024 local government law, that look, there has to be an election before the expiration of the tenure of any local government chairman. But do you think that this whole idea has been swallowed up because of the intricacies of the politics going on? And should we now throw the baby and the bathwater?
Yeah, that's the point I'm making, that I don't want to go into pronouncing on those points because they are before the courts. I'm just speaking as a Nigerian, looking at what's going on in Rivers State. It's not the first time. It's a practice that when a political head is removed or is not there, the next highest civil servant or administrator takes charge. And in this case, I don't see why Rivers State wouldn't have waited till today, and in a few minutes, the Court of Appeal will be sitting, and for the Court of Appeal for this matter to be brought before the justice of the Court of Appeal, they will know what to say or what directive to give or what order to make. You know, if you go back to say the law before the Amewule led a house or after the Amewule led a house, you may be pronouncing on delicate issues. Because the Court of Appeal has said, maintain status quo. Now, if you are maintaining status quo, why would a house of 2 people or 3 members or 4 now screen, the caretaker committee members and they are sworn in? Why should this country continue to slide?
Well, Prof,
why?
Clearly, each of the parties have their share, at least to take up in what is going on here, really. There's no holy side, clearly. But we've seen the APC now calling for a state of emergency in the state. I know that some people had talked about this earlier on. Perhaps they had seen this coming. But are we at that stage yet where the only solution is a state of emergency? I just want you to talk to us about the options available. So hopefully the political players know where this ship is headed and maybe can steer it right before it's too late.
Let me start from a little bit back. My plea here is that both the immediate past governor and the governor now should know that a very bad precedent is being created in Rivers State. Rivers State is a dearly loved and lovable state. I want to plead with them to find a way. I want to plead with stakeholders. I want to plead with elder statesmen, both in Rivers and across the country. Those who can reach the governor and Wike. The biggest gift they can give to this country is to resolve this crisis. It's a distraction to governance. Lives are being lost. A lot of damage is being done to the psyche of the growing youths in Rivers State and even in the country. Many people are beginning to see it as a way of life. It is not good. There's no sacrifice that's too much to be made for the best interest of Rivers State. Having said that, the issue of state of emergency, we've had it sometimes in this country. Why should the democratic structures be put away because of this crisis? You have asked me, are we at the stage of state of emergency? If you look at the Constitution, the State Assembly cannot sit. Now, and that's why I said, when 3 or 4 persons go to sit, will anybody in the interest of fairness and justice in Rivers State say, oh, this is the House of Assembly? That's not, because it has been thrown up because of the crisis. That's what you will hear. So the point I'm making is that it's becoming difficult to run Rivers State, but I don't think it is the federal government should declare state of emergency.
So, Prof, quickly, pardon me. So you said that it's not at that point yet, but I wanted to also speak to this because it would appear as though they are above the law. And we've seen conflicts across board. Individuals, organizations have conflicts, and we see how the courts and security operatives step in early and they forestall breakdown of law and order. You are appealing to people, and I wonder if to also appeal to those giving them legal advice. Because behind all of this, we have people giving them legal advice and telling them, no, don't worry, you are right. You are right to have done this when the Constitution says otherwise. So there are people giving them legal advice. There are security operatives in the mix as well. We've seen almost security operatives facing themselves. And you wonder, don't you belong to the same Nigeria police, for example? And you see them on other side, or either sides rather, and they're almost facing themselves. So the security operatives as well. So isn't this an indictment on them? Some say it's an indictment on the court as well, because it's looking like these people are above the law and they can carry on whatever manner they want.
Thank you, my brother. You can imagine what is going on. Some people are benefiting from the crisis. The truth is that the path to fairness in this crisis is very clear. But like you know, bias and interest blinds even the best professionalism you can put in place. And I think that's why we are talking about it here. It's important that the security agencies are fair and patriotic. It's also important that, like you said, that the courts will avoid pronouncements that will fuel the crisis. This country has gone through several issues based on some of these conflicting judgments or orders in various states, not just Rivers State. And many times, some of the people who who make these pronouncements they find a way to get away from some of these things, and that's what if the politician will tell you that nothing will come out of it. So I plead with regulatory agencies to ensure that any security official that goes contrary to established rules of engagement should get the appropriate sanction, and whether and NBA should also look into some of the rules, and then the judges who make pronouncements, we should look at them. You know, this country belongs to all of us. In all these states have lawyers. There's a Ministry of Justice. And there are also politicians. Many of these politicians are lawyers. So you will imagine how many advisors will come. By the end of the day, when nothing is done about it, it continues like a circle. Again, it's important that we are patriotic. We should not act based on what we will get from the government. At the end of the day, when the crisis continues, nobody knows who it will affect. Look at youths milling around the streets in River State now. These are youths that should be in school, in factories, in offices, and industries. They are milling around the streets. All kinds of equipments, guns, demonstration, all kinds of things are going on. And the key people in the crisis, you will not see their children among the crisis. Maybe their children are in great schools abroad.
Well, senior advocate, you have rightly observed that, some of those politicians are lawyers, and, in politics, sometimes they say that politicians do not think like the rest of us, that their own pattern of thinking is entirely different. As part of the conversation, there is an appeal that is to be determined today that is really supposed to lead us somewhere in providing clarity, particularly about the status of the Martin Amewule-led group. But if you consider that there have been so many other decisions by courts that have not been obeyed, selectively obeyed, or taken further, to other courts for determination, are you optimistic that there will be any different if that appeal provides clarity today? And relatedly, really, do we have to wait for more deaths for the constitutional provision to be invoked to the extent that the National Assembly would take over the legislative duties of the River State Assembly in the light of the circumstances? And if that has not been done, really, why do you think the federal government is waiting before it takes action on the Rivers situation?
All right. There are many things I think that could have been done, that could be done. Section 11 is clear of the Constitution. I mean, at the stage, at some stage in that crisis, the National Assembly could have, but there was no, as at today as we speak, the Court of Appeal has, is seized on the matter, and the Court of Appeal did what is so commendable in my opinion. They ordered the status quo, at each time, that is what is justice. And they are sitting on that matter today. What I'm opposed to is that, because of having taken these steps, we ought not to have aggravated or taken steps as if we know what the decision of the Court of Appeal will be. No But the two groups are not respecting the rule of law. That is the truth of the matter. The two groups it moves to outsmart each other, and that's what has led to disobedience to court orders and each group trying to win the security agencies one way or the other, rather than the constitutionally guaranteed role they ought to play. Now, I'm very optimistic that the Court of Appeal will make appropriate pronouncements today, and I'm optimistic that I believe that the decision of the Court of Appeal will be respected. It will be respected. Because that decision will become implementable. Just one point before I leave this.
All right.
I also believe that we don't just have to wait for the courts in order to invoke certain steps to save lives and property. The federal government could have cautioned both parties at some stage in this crisis.
All right, let's look, as you see, that's why we call it a conundrum, theater of the absurd. Everybody cherry-picking what to obey and what to disobey, and all of this confusion that we're seeing. And sometimes it's even difficult to know how to address people. Sometimes it's that difficult because somebody will say, oh, I'm not, and all of that. Where does this leave the law enforcement agent? Remember what happened with the Kogi State former governor, where two security agencies had documents to defend their position, and there's a grandstanding. As we speak, we spoke to the new caretaker committee chairman, one of them yesterday, and said he can't access the local government area because police has barricaded the local government. And we heard the governor say he's going to lead from the front. Nobody's going to harass his people and all of that. Everybody literally grandstanding. Where does this leave? What should be the position of the law enforcement agencies right now, pending the hearing and determination of the suit for today? Because some people were saying they are obeying one end while they are just trying to protect lives and property. And so it's just a bit confusing.
We are aware, even in Rivers State, coming from the times of many years back, there used to be a commissioner of police in Rivers State. You know about that. I don't want to mention names. It's not new. And it raises the question of the state police. It raises the question of who is the chief law officer, the security officer of the state. But having said that, when you look at our security architecture, intra-agency rivalry is also there. This person may be closer to those in charge of DSS, this one, police, and all that. Even policemen that have been assigned duties or who are SPUs for these politicians, are they not under the same police force? I'm aware that the Nigerian police has commissioner of police in charge of legal. I'm also aware that the federal government has its own legal team. When there are issues like this, they will get advice from the federal system. Because look at Rivers State, look at Jews milling around, look at Rivers State. Judges and many states, judges will give conflicting orders. Same in Kano. This judge will went this one, same law. And sometimes you have the Minister of Justice make pronouncements, give advice. Even though those are called advice, they are optionally compulsory. Because they will not, the office will not take sides with anybody. They will look at the law and say, this is what the law is. And it raises the very serious issue of our judges. If the governor removes a judge, for example, that judge can no longer practice law. So how do you go the judge, how independent is that judge? Is that judge independent when, if he's removed for good reason or bad reason? Many judges have gone through it.
All right. All right, Senior Advocate, we hope that some of those that you say may be seemingly profiting from the situation will listen to your admonitions on the program today. We are totally out of time. We want to thank you very much, Mr. Paul Ananaba, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for your time and for the insights that you have provided on the program today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And right after this time out, we'll be switching gears to another part of the conversation this morning. This time around, we'll be looking at the arts, but specifically the art of directing. Stay with us. It's one conversation that you don't want to miss. We'll be right back.